I've said it before, and I'll say it again. ER nurses have always been my favorite. They're usually up for anything. They will out-party you at night and then go right to work the next day. On this episode, I talked to a former ER nurse, a face you're very familiar with, and a current Atlas recruiter, Brad McDonald. Atlas All Access starts now. All right, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again, Rich.
I'm not making that up. I've said that for years, that ER nurses are my favorite, that you guys are a different breed. Like, you really are.
Yeah, you've got to have a very good ability to forget what just happened, you know?
Well, and then move on to the next thing.
That's what
just
I mean.
Like, right?
It's over. Let's do whatever we got to do next.
Yep.
And I agree with everything you said, so...
Get in the Wayback Machine with me. And here's what I'm really curious about. Like, your origin story. Everybody has an origin story, right? Mm-hmm. What path were you on before you went to nursing school and became an ER nurse?
Sure. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes because it's quite the journey.
Okay, all right.
I didn't become a nurse until I was like 29, I think. But
that's fairly typical, though, now, right?
It is. I would like to say like 75% of my class in nursing school they were on their second career choice or something, you know. Yeah, there was not many people that were, fresh out of high school.
Traditional students, that type of thing. Okay.
Yeah, but actually, I first, out of high school, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer and design cars. So I went to Iowa State for mechanical engineering. After my first semester and going to the career fair, I was like, nah. It just wasn't stimulating enough for me. And I'm like, what happened to like my passion is like sports and entertainment, stuff like that. So I'm like, wow, I got to have something that I'm going to want to go to work every day. Mm-hmm. So I switched into kinesiology. So when I was in kinesiology, at first I was exercise science, so like personal training type of thing. Mm-hmm. And then I went pre-PT, pre-chiro, health fitness management. I went through every emphasis throughout, spent 5 years at Iowa State, studied abroad in Australia, then dropped out. So after that, I think when I was younger, I just never could make up my mind what I really wanted to do. I had so many things I enjoyed doing, but I couldn't find my passion in a sense. Dropped out. At that time, I was running like a college bar in Ames. I was flipping houses as well, working for a guy. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up losing both jobs, going back home with my parents, was just like lost pretty much. Yeah. You know, you wouldn't think 26-year-old moving back with your parents, last thing you want.
Right.
And, obviously in kind of a dark place. Mm-hmm. One night I had a little too many to drink and I ended up totaling my pickup truck, getting arrested for a DUI, spending a night in jail. And as I sat overnight with some unsavory characters, you could say.
You don't make the best people.
No, it was just me and one other guy, and I didn't sleep. His story was a little messed up. I'm not going there. Yeah, made me realize I got to do something.
Yeah.
The day I got out, so I stayed overnight. They kept me 23 hours of the max 24 they could before they let me go. And then I think I slept for about 10 hours. The next day I woke up and I went and walked to the local community college as I had lost my license and signed up for nursing school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So had it been a thought in your head before?
Yeah, 100%. I had actually, back in the day, I had signed up at DMAC, Des Moines Area Community College, for some like pre-nursing classes to get into it. And I don't think I was in the right headspace yet, some people, they got to crash and burn before they turn things around.
Right.
And, I'm just one of those. And so what happened?
All right. So go to nursing school, and then, your career then took off.
100%. So, when we spoke about when I was in college, I studied abroad in Australia, and I lived my whole life in Iowa. So I'm like, oh, I got to see more. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what can I do to travel? And then the nursing idea was actually my mom's idea, I think, first. She's like, you already know all the stuff about medicine and exercise science and stuff like that. I feel like it'd be an easy transition. You're good with people. You like to help. I was like, okay. So the idea got in my head, and then eventually I think I just pulled the trigger when the incident happened and made me realize I had to change my life.
So how long were you perm after you graduated? Before you started traveling then?
Oh, okay. So, sorry, I got in a tangent there. So I went to Australia, gave me the idea that I want to see the rest of the world. So immediately I got my first job at Mercy downtown Des Moines in the ER, and after 1 year, I got on Facebook, searched travel nursing. I'd already known about it, with the love of medicine and the idea I wanted to travel. Like, I'm going to do it as fast as I can. I heard 1.5 to 2 years is the minimum. Some people will take years. So after a year, I went after it. Took about 6 months to get my first assignment in Santa Fe. And then 4.5 years of just being on the road.
Yeah. That's
And
interesting.
time of my life.
Well, Mercy Des Moines isn't a small facility either, right?
No, it's a level 2 trauma center, but at one point in time, maybe still is the busiest trauma center in the state. So I got a very quick crash course education there because you're doing traumas day one pretty much.
Right.
So, I did my preceptorship there, so I knew what I was getting into.
So we've talked about this a little bit on previous episodes that you've been on with me, but transitioning now to being a recruiter, do you miss like the day-to-day of the ER?
Depends on the day.
It depends on the patients too, probably. Right?
100%. I miss the camaraderie. That was the best part about nursing, because the type of people you're going to meet in the ER are people that want to help, but they're not going to take any crap either.
Yep.
And like you said, like to have a good time at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Because you're in the ER, you just talk to all your coworkers. I'd go out with fellow travelers, staff members, techs, anyone, ancillary departments that were, we'd all go out together at every place we went to. It was like a real team atmosphere.
Yep.
And that would be the thing I'd probably miss the most from it.
How, as you recruit now, do you gravitate towards those type of nurses then?
You know what? Not on purpose, but they do gravitate towards me.
You are who you recruit is definitely a real thing in our business.
Yeah, I definitely don't try and do it, but or half my nurses ER, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, we do our cold reach outs. We're trying to get new people, get interest. And a lot of times when people find out that I am an ER nurse, if they are, they're like, okay.
Yep.
Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously.
So last question then. It was interesting. We recently got a letter from someone, probably an 8th grader at a school in Arizona, just wanting to know more. It's a school project, probably. Wanted to know more about what we do. What is travel nursing and that type of thing. So if you could talk directly to your old self, right? Yourself the night before you got your DUI, right? And tell them, here's the good, here's the bad, here's the ugly, but you're gonna love it. What would you say?
We'll start with the ugly.
Okay.
The bad parts, because there's very few in my mind.
Yeah.
You have to have a cool head, be able to deal with stress well, because especially your first assignment, and depending on how long you've been a nurse, you're going to be pissing your pants first couple of weeks, and that eventually you get over that. So deal with stress well would be number one thing.
Okay.
Learn how to focus, learn how to relax, meditation, whatever works for you, yoga, focus on that.
Okay.
And then make sure you know what you're getting into. I think I've spoke on this before, is talk to other people that done it. Talk to recruiters, talk to everyone that has any knowledge on it. Make sure you got a good base before you do it. And the good, I would say, is everything else. The people, the locations. And don't pick something in your mind before you go there. I keep telling people this. I just got she's a friend, but also one of my nurses got her assignment somewhere else. She wanted to go somewhere specific. I'm like, hey, but you heard of this? I was literally on the phone with someone else right before that. She went to a new location because she didn't realize, it's right on the beach. Oh, this looks fantastic. Oh, this guy said it was great there. It was a very underrated city. Oh, I'm in.
Yep.
There's where she went.
You got to be open to stuff like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think more travelers just stop thinking where you think you want to go and just go for it,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Stop thinking and just go for it.
That's how I always did it anyway.
Right.
I'm completely biased, obviously, on that, because that's what I did.
But if you can relate that to your recruiting career now, right? I mean, you've got real life examples that you lived that you can share for them.
I could go on forever of the places where people at some point in time are like, okay, I'm desperate, I'll just go anywhere. And they're like, can I extend here forever?
Because it was
They
awesome.
love it.
Yeah.
There are some very underrated cities, and lots of them across the country.
You've been Santa Fe. I mean, you've been to some of them, right?
I mean, oh my God, yeah,
right.
Love that city.
And would you ever think like, I'm gonna go to Santa Fe, New Mexico? No.
Never would have if it wasn't the first place that offered me.
Right.
I had applied to probably 20 some places, again, just over a year of experience.
Yeah.
So they took me with 18 months. And so that's the only reason why I went there. I would go back. I've been back now 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
I still have friends there that I talk to on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, and I've got a book of those. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Oh,
I mean, that's,
yep.
Right. I mean, there's Kansas City, Kansas. You wouldn't think, but then once you get there, maybe not in the winter, but
Sure.
once you get there, it's just there's a vibrancy to every city that you visit or every place that you go that
100%.
you just have to experience for yourself.
Oh, totally agree.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. All right. Brad, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being
Thanks for having me, Rich.
So, if you're an ER nurse, or even if you're not an ER nurse, right, but you're looking for someone that has that type of experience, that has lived the life that maybe either you have lived or the life you want to live, Brad's your guy right here. All right. We'll see you next time.